across America who's ever been counted out but refused to be knocked out, and for everyone who has stumbled but stood right back up, and for everyone who works hard and never gives up, this one is for you. You know what they say, as Ohio goes, so goes the nation. Well, this nation's coming back, and so is this campaign. The people of Ohio have said it loudly and clearly. We're going on, we're going strong, and we're going all the way. You know, they call Ohio a bellwether state. It's a battleground state. It's a state that knows how to pick a president. And no candidate in recent history, Democrat or Republican, has won the White House without winning the Ohio primary. If we want a Democratic president, we need a Democratic nominee who can win the battleground states just like Ohio. And that is what we've done. We've won Florida, Nevada, New Mexico, Arizona, Michigan, New Hampshire, Arkansas, California, New York, New Jersey, Massachusetts, Oklahoma, and Tennessee. And today we won Rhode Island, and thanks to all my friends and supporters there. This is a great night, but we all know that these are challenging times. We have 2 wars abroad. We have a recession looming here at home. Voters faced a critical question. Who is tested and ready to be commander-in-chief on day 1? And who knows how to turn our economy around, because we sure do need it. Ohio has written a new chapter in the history of this campaign, and we're just getting started. More and more people have joined this campaign, and millions of Americans haven't spoken yet. In states like Pennsylvania and so many others, people are watching this historic campaign, and they want their turn to help make history. They want their voices to count, and they should. They should be heard. So please, join us in this campaign. Go to www.HillaryClinton.com. This is your campaign and your moment, and I need your support. For more than a year, I've been listening to the voices of people across our country. You know, the single mom who told me she works 2 jobs, neither provides health care for her kids She just can't work any harder. The little girl who asked how I'd help people without homes, turns out her family was about to lose their own. The young man in a Marine Corps shirt who said he waited months for medical care. He said to me, "Take care of my buddies. A lot of them are still over there. And then, will you please help take care of me?" Americans don't need more promises. They've heard plenty of speeches. They deserve solutions, and they deserve them now. America needs a president who's ready to lead, ready to stand up for what's right, even when it's hard. And after 7 long years of George W. Bush, we sure are ready for a president who will be a fighter, a doer, and a champion for the American people again. Oh, I think we're ready for health care, not just for some people or most people, but for every American. I think we're ready for an economy that works for everyone, not just those at the top, but every single hardworking American who deserves a shot at the American dream. I think we're ready to declare energy independence and create millions of green-collar jobs. We're ready to reach out to our allies and confront our shared challenges. We're ready to end the war in Iraq and win the war in Afghanistan. And we're past ready to serve our veterans with the same devotion that they served us. You know, protecting America is the first and most urgent duty of the president. When there's a crisis and that phone rings at 3 a.m. in the White House, there's no time for speeches or on-the-job training. You have to be ready to make a decision. I congratulate Senator McCain on winning his party's nomination, and I look forward to a spirited and substantive debate with him. I want to thank the wonderful people of Ohio for your support and your confidence in me. I especially want to thank Governor Ted Strickland and his wonderful wife, Frances. You know, Governor and Mrs. Strickland are working so hard on behalf of Ohio, and they deserve a president who will work hard with them to give Ohio the future that you deserve. I want to thank Senator John Glenn and his wonderful wife, Annie. I want to thank Lieutenant Governor Lee Fisher and his wife, Peggy. And I especially want to thank Congresswoman Stephanie Tubbs Jones. She does an extraordinary job for her constituents, and she has been a champion on behalf of the people of Ohio and America, and I look forward to working with her to bring more opportunity to the people that she loves and represents so well. I want to thank my extraordinary staff, volunteers, and supporters here in Ohio and across America. And I especially want to thank the two most important people in my life, Bill and Chelsea. And, of course, to my mother, who I know is watching, thanks very much, Mom, for everything. And finally, to Senator Obama, who has brought so much to this race, I look forward to continuing our dialogue in the weeks ahead on the issues that matter most to our country. I want to end by sharing with you a message that I got late last month from someone who didn't have much money to spare, but sent me $10 for my campaign and sent an email in which she wrote, "My 2 daughters are 2 and 4, and we chant and cheer for you at every speech we see. I want them to know anything is possible." Tonight, I say to them, keep on watching. Together, we're going to make history. To those little girls, I say, this is America, and we do believe you can be anything you want to be, and we want our sons and our daughters to dream big. I have big dreams for America's future. The question is not whether we can fulfill those dreams, it's whether we will. And here's our answer: yes, we will. We will do what it takes, and we will, once again, make the kind of progress that America deserves. We're going to protect our country and preserve our Constitution. We're going to lead with our values. We will reach out to those on the margins and in the shadows, because that's what we do in America. We break barriers, we open doors, we make sure every voice is heard. Together, we will turn promises into action, words into solutions, and hope into reality. It will take leadership and hard work, but we've never been short on either. So I hope all of you will join with the Ohioans whose voices and votes have been heard today. Together, we will seize this moment, lift this nation, and heal and lead this world. Thank you all, and God bless you.
As you see, Senator Obama is coming out to greet his supporters. So at this point, we're going to say thank you to our two guests who have been in the studio throughout the evening, Carrie Giddens and Todd Belanger. And we hope you'll come back. You've been great. Come back as the election year progresses. Thanks for being here. Let's go to Senator Obama.
Thank you. Thank you, San Antonio. Thank you. Well, we are in the middle of a very close race right now in Texas. We may not even know the final results until morning. We do know that Senator Clinton has won Rhode Island, and while there are a lot of votes to be counted in Ohio, it looks like she won there too. So I want to congratulate Senator Clinton for running a hard-fought race in both Ohio and Rhode Island. We also know that we've won the state of Vermont, and so we want to say thank you to the people of Vermont. And we know this, no matter what happens tonight, we have nearly the same delegate lead as we did this morning, and we are on our way to winning this nomination. Si se puede. You know, decades ago, as a community organizer, I learned that the real work of democracy begins far from the closed doors and marbled halls of Washington. It begins on street corners and front porches, in living rooms and meeting halls with ordinary Americans who see the world as it is and realize that we have within our power to remake the world as it should be. It's with that hope that we began this journey. The hope that if we could go block by block, city by city, state by state, and build a movement that spanned race and region, party and gender, if we could give young people a reason to vote and the young at heart a reason to believe again, if we could inspire a nation to come together, then we could turn the page on the politics that has shut us out, let us down, and told us to settle. We could write a new chapter in the American story. We were told this wasn't possible. We were told the climb was too steep. We were told our country was too cynical, that we were just being naive, that we couldn't really change the world as it is. But then a few people in Iowa stood up and said, yes, we can. And then a few more of you stood up from the hills of New Hampshire to the coast of South Carolina. And then a few million of you stood up from Savannah to Seattle, from Boise to Baton Rouge. And tonight, because of you, because of a movement you built that stretches from Vermont's Green Mountains to the streets of San Antonio, we can stand up. We can stand up with confidence and clarity to say that we are turning the page and we are ready to write the next great chapter in America's story. Now, in the weeks to come, we will begin a great debate about the future of this country, with a man who has served it bravely and loves it dearly. And tonight I called John McCain and congratulated him on winning the Republican nomination. But in this election, we will offer two very different visions of the America we see in the 21st century. Because John McCain may claim long history of straight talk and independent thinking, and I respect that, but in this campaign, he has fallen in line behind the very same policies that have ill-served America. He has seen where George Bush has taken our country, and he promises to keep us on the very same course. It's the same course that threatens a century of war in Iraq, a third and fourth and fifth tour of duty for brave troops who've done all we've asked of them, even while we have asked little and expect nothing from the Iraqi government, whose job it is to put their country back together. Of course, a course where we spend billions of dollars a week that could be used to rebuild our roads and our schools, to care for our veterans and send our children to college. It's the same course that continues to divide and isolate America from the world by substituting bluster and bullying for direct diplomacy, by ignoring our allies and refusing to talk to our enemies, even though presidents from Kennedy to Reagan have done just that, because strong countries and strong leaders aren't afraid to tell hard truths to petty dictators. And it's the same course that offers the same tired answers to workers without health care and families without homes, to students in debt and children who go to bed hungry in the richest nation on earth. 4 more years of tax breaks for the biggest corporations and the wealthiest few who don't need them and aren't even asking for them. It's a course that further divides Wall Street from Main Street, where struggling families are told to pull themselves up by their bootstraps because there's nothing government can do or should do. And so we should give more to those with the most and let the chips fall where they may. Well, we are here to say tonight, that is not the America we believe in, and this is not the future we want. We want a new course for this country. We want new leadership in Washington. We want change in America. And John McCain and Hillary Clinton have echoed each other, dismissing this call for change as eloquent but empty. Speeches, not solutions. And yet they know, or they should know, that it's a call that did not begin with my words. It began with words that were spoken on the floors of factories in Ohio and across the deep plains of Texas. Words that came from classrooms in South Carolina and living rooms in the state of Iowa, from first-time voters and lifelong cynics, from Democrats and independents and Republicans alike. John McCain and Hillary Clinton should know that there's nothing empty about the call for affordable health care that came from the young student who told me she gets 3 hours of sleep a night because she works the night shift after a full day of college and still can't pay her sister's medical bills. There's nothing empty about the call for help that comes from the mother in San Antonio who saw her mortgage double in 2 weeks and didn't know where her 2-year-olds would sleep at night when they were on the brink of being kicked out of their home. There's nothing empty about the call for change that came from the elderly woman who wants it so badly that she sent me an envelope with a money order for $3.01 and a simple verse of scripture tucked inside. These Americans know that government can't solve all of our problems, and they don't expect it to. Americans know that we have to work harder and study more to compete in a global economy. Americans know that we need to take responsibility for ourselves and our children, that we need to spend more time with them and teach them well and put a book in their hands instead of a video game once in a while. We know this. But we also believe that there is a larger responsibility that we have to one another as Americans. We believe that we rise or fall as one nation, as one people, that we are our brother's keeper, that we are our sister's keeper. We believe that a child born tonight should have the same chances whether she arrives in the barrios of San Antonio or the suburbs of St. Louis, on the streets of Chicago or the hills of Appalachia. We believe that when she goes to school for the first time, it should be in a place where the rats don't outnumber the computers. That when she applies to college, cost should be no barrier to a degree that will allow her to compete with children in India or children in China for the jobs of the 21st century. We further believe that those jobs should provide wages that can raise her family, health care for when she gets sick, a pension for when she retires. We believe that when she tucks her own children into bed, she should feel safe, knowing that they are protected from the threats we face by the bravest, best equipped military in the world, led by a commander-in-chief who has the judgment to know when to send them into battle and which battlefield to fight on. And if that child should ever get the chance to travel the world, and someone should ask her, where is she from? We believe that she should always be able to hold her head high with pride in her voice when she answers, I am an American. That is the course we seek. That is the change we are calling for. You can call it many things, but you can't call it empty. If I am the nominee of this party, I will not allow us to be distracted by the same politics that seeks to divide us with false charges and meaningless labels. In this campaign, we will not stand for the politics that uses religion as a wedge and patriotism as a bludgeon. San Antonio, I owe what I am to this country that I love, and I will never forget it. Where else could a young man who grew up herding goats in Kenya get the chance to fulfill his dream of a college education? Where else could he marry a white girl from Kansas whose parents survived war and a Great Depression to find opportunity out west? Where else could they have a child who would one day have the chance to run for the highest office in the greatest nation the world has ever known? Where else but in the United States of America? It is now my hope and our task to set this country on a course that will keep this promise alive in the 21st century. And the eyes of the world are watching to see if we can. You know, there's a young man on my campaign whose grandfather lives in Uganda. He's 81 years old. He has never experienced true democracy in his lifetime. During the reign of Idi Amin, he was literally hunted, and the only reason that he escaped was thanks to the kindness of others and a few good-sized trunks. And on the night of the Iowa caucuses, that 81-year-old man stayed up until 5 in the morning, huddled by his television, waiting for the results of an election on the other side of the world. The world is watching what we do here. The world is paying attention to how we conduct ourselves, what we say, how we treat one another. What will they see? What will we tell them? What will we show them? Can we come together across party and region, race and religion to restore prosperity and opportunity as the birthright of every American? Can we lead the community of nations in taking on the common threats of the 21st century, terrorism and climate change, genocide and disease? Can we send a message to all those weary travelers beyond our shores who long to be free from fear and want that the United States of America is and always will be the last best hope on earth? We say, we hope, we believe, yes, we can. Thank you, San Antonio. God bless you. God bless America. I appreciate you. Thank you.
we continue to watch Senator Barack Obama in San Antonio, Texas with his supporters there, our phone lines are open. Quite an interesting night we've had here on this March 4th primary. Senator John McCain, has cinched the nomination, and with an appropriate number of delegates for the Republican nomination. At the same time, Governor Huckabee has dropped out of the race, and Ron Paul has vowed that he will continue. And here on the Democratic side, a strong night for Senator Clinton in Ohio, and the race in Texas looking like it's still too close to call. Advantage right now for Senator Clinton, but it's not been called by any of the networks because it is so close with lots still outstanding. So phone lines are open to hear what you think about all of this. Let's begin with a call from Herndon, Virginia.